Supposedly wanted to play wide receiver is one reason he changed his mind to go to West Virginia. You guys, have you changed your mind on where you play him coming back?
You know, that was a good question because I think a lot of people are going to think that. But he said, "Coach, I'll do whatever you want me to do." He just want to be at Georgia. And he's put as an athlete for that reason.
Coach, are there any additions to this group that you might have later today?
There's a possibility. There's a possibility. I really don't know for sure. We just have to kind of wait and see. But you know, there's still some possibilities out there.
When you following up on the commitments, decommitments, you talk about recruiting and the hat ceremonies, and we've been going through this for a while. How do you stay so patient? Is it tougher now than maybe when you first started, as far as trying to?
I mean, I don't know if I'm patient or any coaching staff's patient. I mean, you don't have a lot of control, but yeah, I guess you don't. I guess you don't have a choice. You don't have any other choice but to be patient. I guess we are patient because we don't have any control. But I can't say that there's not, you know, a lot of emotion that goes in it from us too, because like I mentioned to start out, there's a lot of time invested, a lot of travel, a lot of time away from home, a lot of phone calls, a lot of, you know, just the building of relationships over time. You get to know people and really, you like them a lot, and you want them to be a part of your program, and you can see where, you know, things would work out for them at your university, and you know, sometimes you get them and sometimes you don't, but you know, I don't think anybody goes through a recruiting season without, you know, having that excitement of getting the ones that you want to get, and you know, a high percentage of those. But then there's always some tough things too.
When you guys amassed so many commitments early in the process, did you know that you'd be kind of playing defense a lot? That'd be a big emphasis going down the stretch?
I think nowadays in recruiting, the minute somebody commits somewhere is about when recruiting starts. You know, a lot of times you're thinking, well, once you got a commitment, you got it. You know, but I don't think anybody in the country thinks just because a guy says he's coming doesn't mean you still, you know, you can't just stop calling and stop recruiting and stop, you know, taking care of business. You need to escalate that.
What's your feelings on the new early signing period, and do you think it would have made any difference in the case of some of these guys that flipped on you late?
I don't know about the early signing date. You know, it'll be interesting to see if it happens, and if it does, what kind of effect it'll be. Will it calm things down, or will it be 2 days like this? You know, I don't know what's going to happen in that regard, but it'll be interesting to see.
Mark, you added, I know you guys don't get into recruiting rankings necessarily, but for the first time you added the #1 player in the country in a lot of the rankings. Let's talk about Trent Thompson. What do you think about him as a player, and what can he bring to you?
Trent is a big, massive man who has got great agility, and if you meet him, he's just the nicest guy you ever want to meet. But when he's playing ball, he gets after it, and he's just got tremendous quickness for a big man, change of direction, plays very hard, and I think probably the reason why he got rated as high as he did is when you start taking these guys and bringing them to all-star games or combines or whatever, and you start letting them compete with some of the best. You know, the word I got from some of those kids in those situations were like, you know, the guy just was very difficult to handle by anybody. You know, so and he's a fun kid to be around. He really is.
Can you talk about the defensive line class as a whole, and to get 2 guys in early?
Well, you know, you definitely want to. You got to have the beef up front, both sides of the ball. You got to have guys that can, you know, command double teams. You've got to have guys that you know, can you know, hopefully put pressure on a quarterback without having to bring blitzes and things of that nature. Guys that can be stout in their run gap responsibilities and not get pushed around. So it's truly important to have the big men up front. I think we did a good job there.
depth purposes, do you expect them to contribute?
Well, I mean, we don't think in terms of depth with guys. We think in terms of guys that are going to, that hopefully will play and become starters, compete to start. I guess a starter is part of your depth, as far as your depth chart, but we want these guys to compete.
Mark, how about finally getting Devondre Seymour into the program?
Right. Yeah, Devondre Seymour, it says 6'6", 310. I'm not sure if it's 310. It might be a little bigger than that, but we call him Scooter, nickname Scooter, but very talented guy. And a guy that, if I'm not mistaken, will be coming in with 3 years to play 3. And that'll be great for us. And so, it's been a little while, maybe, for him to get in position to come back on campus, or to come to campus, but we're very happy that he decided to stick with Georgia and is taking care of business.
And to follow up on that, how important was it, you mentioned Pat and Sam Matt, to get those two guys to kind of fill out that offensive line? But
yeah,
a lot of times it was a little nip and tuck on them.
It did. And Pat, again, Pat was one of the guys that committed early and changed his mind and then recommitted. And then big, Sam Madden coming in, really liked what we saw with him on film, and after meeting him, really enjoyed him and his father on that trip, and had a lot of faith that we were going to have a pretty darn good ball player. And he's a massive guy too. I mean, he probably was in the 345 to 3. Well, he probably showed up 345. Probably left about 355 after all the food he ate on the trip. But we did get some big, solid men. Sage Arden, he's tall, long, tough, athletic, smart kid. He's going to really help us as well.
Hey, Mark, I got 2 guys today earlier, Hawkins and Schultz a little bit earlier just now. Am I talking about them? They haven't been focused by the media here lately.
Right. Guys that have been on the radar for a while. And, DeQuan, really, when you look at him, he's as good looking as any of them, a guy that, in the very beginning, we thinking, maybe this guy can play offense. There's no doubt he can play offense. But then the more time you spend watching him do his thing, you can see that he's going to be a tremendous defensive lineman for us. So, but he was a guy that both sides of the ball liked. He was on the board the whole time through, and in the end, it worked out at defensive line, because that's where his heart is and where we think he'll give us the best impact. And then Kirby, he's a tough, athletic kid, guy that loves Georgia, been loving Georgia a long time, and when the opportunity came to get him, he accepted that offer, and we're glad that he did.
What are y'all getting at Tay Crowder?
Tay is a very physical back. He's got.
Is he just a back?
Well, he does have the ability to do a little bit of what Quavon Hicks is doing, as far as a H-back type guy. He's possibly a tight end type guy, enough of a body to do that, but he's a pretty good runner in his own right. He is a very physical guy, big tackle breaker, a guy that you think could hold up well in our league. Got a great stiff arm, just down after down after down, just stiffing guys into the ground and running them over. Very impressed with him.
Was it harder this year to try and maintain the relationships with some of those guys that were radar guys, like you said, when you were still trying to keep some of these guys that were uncertain back and forth committed the whole time?
Well, you just got to keep recruiting. I think that's the best answer to that. You just got to keep recruiting. You got to keep evaluating. And gosh, I can't tell you how many times that we got guys late and they did great. Canaris Gates was, I think, at least a 3-year starter for us, but if not a 4-year starter. Timmy Jennings, I think we offered the night before. Timmy was the last guy brought in the class, and he was the first guy drafted that year, and he's been an all-pro cornerback. So you just keep recruiting.
I've yet to ever hear anybody have a signing class and say that, it wasn't great.
Right.
But I mean, if there was any flaw in this class, did you want like more wide receivers? A couple of those went the other way. Is there any area that you're a little bit disappointed you didn't get everything you wanted there? Or as many?
I would just say, the day's not over, and we'll see what the next few hours bring. You don't know. I don't know for sure what it's going to bring, but maybe you can ask me that tomorrow.